All right, we have a roll here, a couple rolls actually, with Colin. So let's see what kind of notes we have. For this first clip, I have it that when I start to roll away, you can drop your head to my hips and solidify north-south. So right here is where I would have dropped your head down instead of staying up. So, and then the second note, if we replay the clip, you can also pin my legs to my head and staple one of those legs with your knee. So as I start to invert and roll away right here, instead of pushing my legs away, you can also pin them to the ground. All right. So the next clip is around 20 seconds. And so here, right at this moment, you can notice that your hands are on my ankles. And I already kind of have a choke going on, and you're not fighting the choke first and foremost. You're worrying about a possible ankle submission. So I would definitely make sure you're defending the neck if you feel it's tight. The second note is this choke is being turned to the right. So if we back it up a little bit, early on, as soon as you feel that grip on your collar, if you turned hard to your left, you would have to get this shoulder clear, of course, which once I go for the leg, you clear that shoulder and turn to your left hard, you can unravel that choke. All right, this next clip is around 40 seconds. Right here, you start to go for the crab ride. So that's perfect. Attacking the back is always amazing. But you want to get your hooks in behind my kneecaps for the crab ride. So you're going to put right here, you would want to dig your knees into the back of my legs and then push me out so that the momentum carries me into your lap. Another thing you really want to do is focus on getting a seatbelt control. So when you start to pop your legs up right here is when I dip down. My shoulders and my neck were not controlled. So if you were to get a seatbelt grip first before you worry about your hooks, you can still roll around it and kind of carry my weight before I escape. All right, the next clip's at 50 seconds here. So you're going for, I was technically mounted, but you still had a really nice Kimura grip. So I know it's hard to control my body when I'm on top, but once I start to roll away, because I felt I couldn't maintain it right here, this is where you should be chasing the back. So if you were to push my shoulder more to the floor and bring your feet around, you can actually chase my back a little harder instead of me coming up and over the top. So as soon as you feel that I rolled over, that's where you should have brought your legs and hooks involved. The second note is before it gets too advanced, you can also work for catching one of my legs. So at this point right here, I would have tried to catch one of my legs, and if you can get me in half guard, you can actually finish the Kimura because now my hips and legs are controlled, and you can apply more pressure to the shoulder instead of me rolling out of it. All right, next one's at a minute. Oh, wait, 1 second. All right, so here we go for a bump. Whenever someone bumps you like this, you don't want to fight it. You want to kind of start to scramble up, and so as soon as you feel that bump, try to come into me a little harder. And then the second note is you can also try to turtle up. So if we back it up a little bit more, as soon as you feel this bump coming, you kind of just try to roll into me. But if you would have turtled the other way, you could have recovered and possibly rolled into like an open guard setup. All right, and then here I'm going for a deep De La Riva hook. So the note I have is that you really want to force your knee to the outside as soon as I get this hook in. So it's a little fast clip. Let me see if I can pause it. So right here, my foot starts to come into a De La Riva. And before it becomes too deep, you want to pop your knee out to the right, and that's going to clear this hook a little better. The second note I have is you can also do a technical stand-up. So after the sweep is performed right here, you kind of just stayed back and we were fighting for grips on the floor, and then I decided to come up. So if you would have came up first, because I believe you had a better advantage right here, you could have took this leg out and started doing a technical stand-up. You would have had a top position instead of fighting from the bottom. All right. And the next setup almost flows right into it. Here you're going to get a beautiful scissor sweep. So the setup is perfect, perfect sweep, but you kind of stayed on your side. Staying on your side allowed me to start to play with your ankle as well as get this foot involved. And so from here, what I would have done is after the sweep, you want to really ride that momentum and stand up on your left foot and apply pressure so that I can't get under your foot. Instead, we kind of stayed sideways, and you'll notice I start to underhook this foot and put it on my bicep. Now, anytime I raise my arm, it's going to keep your weight off me, and I also have a heel on your hip now, which is going to keep you away. I didn't have the full clip, but further on in the clip, that allowed me to get a sweep. And this last one here is a forward side control, and you're trying to work out of it. But one thing you can do is really walk your hips away from me. You did it a couple times, but you kind of stayed turned into me. You want to kind of walk your hips away and create an angle so that my back would be hitting the floor. It looks like you were trying to take me up and over the top, which can still work, but if you drop a space in between us and take my back to that space, I'll actually drop into there and you'll be on top. The last note I have for this clip is that you can also use your knee to bump me hard from the back. If you bump me forward, I have to let go of my grip around your head, or at minimum I have to use this opposite hand or my head to post on the floor. That's going to create a lot of space and also loosen up my grips. Once you bump me hard, you can come out the back, especially if you do a really hard shoulder shrug. So you want a shoulder shrug almost like the same as if you were going to take my back. You would shrug your shoulder, all my weight's going forward, and then my back will be free. Worst case scenario, maybe it just turns into a scramble.